The conversation around the new petrol regime continues. It's really not just only about the price, and there's so many other issues that need to be talked about under this new regime. We're talking about the quality control, we're talking about forex, we're talking about job creation, and of course the issue with the federal government and NLC. Yesterday was deadlock. Conversations continue today, and we're tracking those conversations for you. But to talk about this new petrol regime, with me right now is Mr. Gabriel Idahosa. He's the CEO of Uhimaji & Co. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining me on the program.
Thank you.
So, first of all, what are your thoughts on this new regime? Because it's all encompassing. It's not just about the price. We're talking about quality control now, which a lot of people are not really talking about. Everybody seems to be concerned with the price, quality control, currency, and of course its effect on jobs created and jobs lost.
Well, it's a solution that will address everything that has not been found all this time. And we have tried to run away each time we confronted this, and whatever we try to do, it's clear to us in the last 30 years that all these solutions did not work. And the solution that will work will address all these issues of pricing, of quality, of creation of jobs in that industry. For you to do that, an investor in a refinery needs to have the confidence that they can sell their products in the open market at a price that covers the cost of production and a profit to pay off the investors and the lenders. And that's why you have the holders of refinery licenses, over 18 of them, not building any refineries. Because you won't build refineries if you are not sure you can sell the products at a price in an open market that covers your costs. And a third party like the government cannot tell me, a producer of petrol, what price I should sell it, because the government is not investing in the refinery, the government is not paying the cost of lending to build a refinery, and so you haven't got investments in the refinery in the last 30 years apart from government refineries.
So what do you make of Labour's stance now? Yesterday there was a deadlock. We have factions now in the NLC. The key oil unions, that's Nupeng and Pengasin, have stepped off from participating in this strike. And so we have the other arm, so two factions of the NLC. What do you make of this split?
I think it's an evidence that we are all getting better informed, and that those in the oil industry know that the way forward is to open up the business. Because if you work in an industry that cannot grow, you cannot get investors to come in and create more jobs. As a worker in that industry, you are concerned, you want the industry to grow. You want future prospects in that industry. And the only way it can happen is for more refineries to be built.
But then is it clear what Labour wants at this time?
Well, when you say Labour, you are talking of everyone. But if you look at the two labor unions you have talked about, they understand the industry. That's where they work. Over the years, they have seen that all efforts to have a controlled regimen of fixing the price by government has not worked, because you have had just 4 refineries for the last 20-25 years. No new refineries have been built. And clearly, some section of labor now understand that we need to do things differently. That the method you have used for 30 years has not produced any positive change. And if you want to do the same thing, you will have for the next 30 years exactly what you have today, where you have government controlling the price, and somebody in Maiduguri buys petrol at 300 naira per liter, and somebody in Lagos sometimes gets petrol to buy at 86 naira per liter, and at some other time he gets to buy at 120 or 150 per liter. It hasn't worked. What will work is an environment anyone, as the government has said, who wants to import petrol, who wants to build a refinery to produce petrol, can do so on a sustainable basis. It's sustainable if I know that if I bring petrol into the country, I can sell it, give the money back to the bank quickly, and get another funding from the bank to bring another cargo. It is sustainable if I build a factory, a refinery, and I know that once I pump it out of my refinery, it is sold at the pump price is enough to come back to me to keep producing. And the people running the pumps have a small profit margin to keep them to continue to maintain their petrol stations. So that sustainability cannot happen unless you have a free price regime that enables everyone, the importer, the refinery, to do business in a way that will ensure that the investors and the lenders to that business get their returns.
But then you should also remember that all of these businesses are not accessing forex at the same amount. They've been asked to go to the black market to access their forex, and so it also translates to passing on the cost, extra costs, to the consumers. And so at a point you might not even be getting this petrol for 145, you might get it a little more higher, and the market, it seems, is determining how everything's supposed to be playing out. But then, apart from those two unions, we also have the manufacturing sector supporting this, this bid, this new price regime. And it makes, makes a lot of people wonder that this isn't the first time this has come up. Let's go down memory lane a little bit. Of course, at one point, the removal of fuel subsidy generated a lot of controversy. But then, in times past, we've also seen that very key sectors of the economy, very key players of the economy have strongly kicked against it, but now it's different. Manufacturing sector is one of those people. What do you think is going on in the minds of manufacturers? Is it the same thing that is going on in the minds of the key oil unions?
Well, I think it's down to more informed. The more you are informed about anything, the more you take rational decisions. Before, we were all told, we believed that government should build refineries and run them and provide petrol to everyone at a price that is socially determined, not commercially determined. The argument was that we have billions and billions of barrels of crude oil under our feet in Nigeria, right under our feet. So we should enjoy that benefit of having oil. But the world has changed. Even Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, the biggest oil producer of all, changed the prices. Because at that time, we were guaranteed dominance of the oil and gas market. We could quote the price. If we said we wanted to sell crude oil at $150 per barrel, the world would buy it. Because we were the dominant players, the OPEC countries. But right now, every country around the boundary of Africa, around the coast, from Morocco all the way to Egypt, now produce oil. Of course, we know about the shale and oil, gas production in America and Canada. So everybody is now well informed that the situation has changed. We are no more a dominant player in the industry. So we cannot rely on a very high price to enjoy oil and gas products as a social right, to say we are entitled to cheap oil. Everybody, the manufacturers, the workers in the industry are well informed. And it is fighting with the transition of a new era that we are going through.
But then you also have to remember, Mr. Idahosa, that it's not just one issue that stands on its own. It affects every other thing. It affects the cost of food. It affects transport prices. I was just talking to Okpeyemi a few moments ago, and we talked about just this morning, we heard that the basket of tomatoes is climbing to as high as 40,000 naira. And it could get worse. So we're seeing it's not just going to affect a small population, it's going to affect a large population. So even if Labour decides to go ahead with the strike, what do you think they should be, when they have when they're having conversations with the federal government, because yesterday it was deadlock, they continue conversations today. What aspect do you think? Do you think they should really continue to be pushing for the reversal, because that's what they want, reversal back to the old price they were paying, or they should focus on all the other key issues that you already mentioned?
See, there are many good things that Labour can ask for. Labour, for example, can say to government, federal, state and local government, we need to fast track the incentives for refineries. All the people that have licenses, you need to give them waivers. For example, the DPR charges, the access to land for refineries, the community issues on building refineries. All the levels of government can fast track that, and we can begin to build more refineries. The other thing you can do, which is very important, is that the labor unions in the industry who know the industry should invest in the industry. put your money where your mouth is. They should begin to import oil and begin to plan to build refineries, because Pengassan and Nupeng have the knowledge to build modular refineries. Modular small refineries of 25, 30,000 liters, barrels per day can be built with the technology and the finances available in this country. So Labour should be talking about what can government do to help us who know the business to start to participate in the business. What can government do to support everyone to invest? The forex you need to import oil, it's large because you are not producing locally. As you produce locally, it will get to zero. You will, at some point, you don't need forex to import. In any case, the current price of 145 is not going to last for long. Once a lot of people start importing, it's going to come down.
But then what happens to foreign investment?
Well, foreign investors are not coming because most of the refinery license holders are foreign investors. From Shell to Total, all the companies have said, we will not build refineries if you have a controlled regime. They have said so loud and clear many years that once the first refinery in this country was built by a foreign investor. The Port Harcourt refinery was built by Shell. It wasn't built by the government. And they are willing to do that if they know that once the products come from the refinery, they can be sold at the gas station and the money comes back to them without waiting for several months for subsidy payments.
Thank you so much, Mr. Idahosa, for coming on the program this morning and sharing your perspectives with us.
Thank you.
The conversation continues in just a moment. Stay with us.